this morning after I deleted it by accident, and I was like, "No, how did I do this again?"
When she texted me that,
myself over and
I
over.
wish you saw my face. I was like,
I was freaking out. I was like, "No, no, no!"
I'm like, how did she always do this? But then I was like, you know what, Emily?
I don't even know how, because you're like, that's why you don't select it. I'm like, I'm not that stupid. I didn't select
Obviously
it.
you did.
Alright, well,
I swear, I thought I
I
did.
missed you guys.
Yeah, I know. Because I've just been chilling in my shit, just not talking to nobody.
Yeah, just stay at home and cry. Make myself cry over and over again. And I'm like, I need to stop this. But I have realized I have an emotional addiction, or an addiction to a certain emotional state, and that's why I do that. I'm like, there's no reason why I should be thinking these crazy fucking things.
All right. Welcome back, guys, to Open Water. That was great. Diana's in her emotional shit.
Great girl.
I know we pre-film these, and I know the episode we already put out, Trump is gone, but it's just we haven't been. This is the week of inauguration that we're filming this, and it's like Trump is gone.
Officially.
And obviously, shit's not going to get better immediately because Joe Biden is still a little crazy too. But hopefully, shit will get better. What?
Twirling it around my finger. I told myself not to touch the cord, and I'm like,
I'm in a very
sensitive state as well.
yes I am. And it came out of nowhere yesterday, and I'm mad about it because the fuck? Why?
Because that's life.
I don't know. I feel like this whole last year also is just like throwing us into different routines or lack of thereof. Because I feel like that's my problem. I have no routines whatsoever, and like I've been trying to get myself back into that shit. You know, get some, like, that's what my therapist, I have had multiple therapists, and they're like, whenever you like struggle or whatever, try and work shit into your routine. So like, have you tried journaling before?
Yeah, but I'm not consistent with it.
Yeah, and it's okay. Like, you gotta be like, just be like, okay, maybe when you have your morning cigarette and coffee or something, when you let the dogs out, you can sit there for just a few minutes, write how you're feeling in the morning, and then whatever, like before you go to bed, do the same thing, and just like writing it like a couple times a day, or just whenever you feel like it. Because like, honestly, I don't know.
I journal Mondays and Fridays. That's my journaling day. So like the beginning of the week, end of the week, I write how I'm feeling. Then by the end of the week, I just read through it and I write what happened in my week, like what my emotions were. And I've been doing that consistently since like December. It's really helped me.
Yeah, it helps you figure out, like, basically track your emotional state, and then like if there's a certain trigger, something that triggers you into thinking that way, or just like help you realize there's some shit that you've been ignoring that is obviously bothering you because of the way that you feel, and it's like, okay. Or even if you, like, there's been times where I'm like, I feel angry or I feel annoyed, and I'm like, I don't know why I feel this way, and it just helps me figure out what it is exactly that's bothering me, and then how to articulate that, because that's what I struggle with, articulating that to other people, articulating how I feel, period, to other people. But journaling helps you with that. It's like practice. It's like practicing in the shower, just talking to yourself.
No, 100%.
I talk to myself in the shower all the time.
I sit there, I'm like, I have like
yeah,
arguments.
you
like,
have arguments.
Bruh, I have said like, oh my God. Like, I'm a bad bitch in the shower, but like real life, I'm like,
Pretty much. That's what she says.
Well, let's get your mind off of stuff and let's pick a topic and talk about something different and weird and not like.
It'll be ironic if it's something like.
I know
it really would be.
There it is.
I put what? Don't. Oh, the clip.
Hey, but you didn't pull out.
I know.
Oh, you got it.
I knew I put it somewhere and I couldn't remember where, and I put it somewhere where I knew I could find
I'll
it.
just throw it over here. I'm not. I'm gonna put it back in though, honestly.
You can.
I put two new topics in here, so I want to put.
Did you?
Yeah, because I was like, this isn't a new one. This is an old one. I can fill by the paper. I'm gonna put this back in just for now. Oh my God, friend breakups and like friendship and just everything surrounding friendship, which is amazing because I'm with my two of my best friends.
I feel like friend breakups are like the worst.
They are.
Like, oh God.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of how many friend breakups I've had, like, that are serious. in like my college, when I left high school, I had one best friend that I had from high school up into college, and then I stopped being her friend because I realized she was a toxic person my freshman year. But I handled it so bad, I literally just stopped talking to her, which was really fucked up. Like I should have told her like, why I don't be your friend anymore. But I was immature and stupid, and I was just like, just don't talk to her anymore, and just cut it all off, and just block her, and just don't do it anymore, and blah blah blah. And then obviously everyone knows about my other best friend from high school up until like I was 23. Yeah, we stopped being friends, and that one was the worst. Like,
did you have a conversation of why you guys aren't gonna?
Yeah, I mean, anymore? So we got into a really big fight over the whole Kaepernick kneeling thing, and that was just because I didn't follow her on Facebook because she posted the same stuff on Instagram and Facebook. So I was like, there's no point in following her on Facebook, so I stopped. And then I started getting I sent out a lot. I got 2 people message me on Facebook saying, hey, do you see what so-and-so is posting on Facebook about like the kneeling? And she was pretty much posting like this disrespectful to the military. Like, I don't even care about the main issue. Like, you guys are just being disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. And so as her best friend, as a black woman, I said, let me text her, which was error number 1. Should never ever have a conversation that's serious over text messages, because people read text messages completely wrong. They put their own voice to it, and so they think you're yelling at them.
I'd be reading them with the attitude,
and you're not supposed to do that. And so I messaged her, we're talking, and we got nowhere. We're just literally arguing with each other, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, how are you not like listening to what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm your best friend and I'm a black woman, you should listen to me in our reality about a topic about race. So then we stopped we just stopped contacting, and then our mutual friend had moved to Arizona where she had lived at the time, and I was like, hey, I'm coming out to visit her. You're obviously going to see on social media. I'm in Arizona, so let's try to meet up and have a conversation face to face. We finally go over to her house, and I can't even bring it up. I'm like, I don't want to talk about this, like, because I know it's going to cause problems. And I barely looked at her or talked to her the whole time we were there. And like afterwards, she like messaged our other 2 friends who were with us, like, why didn't Emily even want to talk to me? And then when I got back home, she messaged me, and we got into another humongous ass fight about it. And I was just like, listen, let's just stop. Like, there's no point. But she has children who I'm very close to. I've been in their lives since they were born. So I would always call and just talk to them. But I realized she kept wanting to talk to me afterwards. And I was like, I don't want to be your friend. Like, I can't do it. So I messaged her and was just like, hey, I'll just stop calling because we can't separate it. And I don't want to keep being in the children's lives if I know I'm not going to be in your life. Because for one, that's rude. Like, you're the mother of those kids. Like, I'm not going to call them and just talk to them and not talk to you. Like, that's your children, your offspring. But now, fast forward to last year, she messaged me and was just like, hey, I'm sorry I didn't listen to you. Like, you were right. And I was being blah, blah, blah. And we patched things up. But, like, I do, like, miss her friendship. I do, just because we were very close. And there's a lot of things that I could talk to her about. But I've talked to my other best friend about it, and we're literally talking 2 days ago because her wedding's coming up, and she's going to invite her to her wedding, obviously. And I was like, I would love to sit down in person and just really like talk more about this shit that happened in our friendship that we didn't really speak about, because there's more than just a race thing. There was like a lot of internal issues going on between both of us that I think we have to voice out. But that was I cried for like a week. Because I mainly cried because of the kids, I'm not going to lie. Like, those kids were everything to me. They still are everything to me. And I hope that I can, like, build a relationship with her again for the kids. Because I miss those fucking children so fucking much. Woo!
Well, at least you guys are on speaking terms again.
Yeah. And it's crazy because my other toxic best friend that I had, her mom messaged me on Facebook and was like, hey, what's your address? Like, because she's getting married, and she was like, the person she's getting married, mom, was asking about you, because we were all hung out. Like, they're high school sweethearts. Mm-hmm. So, like, we all hung out since high school. And she was asking, like, where you've been. And I'm like, how did she, though? Because, and in my head, I'm thinking, like, do you just want my address to, like, send me an invitation or, like, something? Mm-hmm. But nothing has come in the mail for me. And that was, like, a month and a half ago. So I'm like, why did you want my address? Like, what was the reason? But I don't know. But that was God, toxic people and friends. Ugh.
Yeah.
Have you experienced a friend breakup, like a real one, where you guys really like talked about it?
No, like I don't know, because like the most recently with like you're my best friend, then I have another best friend, and then like with what happens, I don't want to talk about it just because I know she's really private. Bless you. I know she's really private. But like, because like the situation, what happened, like I was supposed to be the one responsible, and like I messed up. So like I know that, but like when it happened, I just literally was like, you piece of shit, like how could you do this? Like I was just literally, me and myself, I was like, she fucking hates you, all this shit. And I wasn't like, I'm most upset is I'm upset about him being gone, like I miss him, and I know she does too, and I'm upset that like I caused her, like in a way, even though I didn't do it on purpose, I caused her to feel that pain. And then afterwards, because of me getting into my own head, I haven't been able to be there for her or support her like in any way. Like I get like she wanted space at first, but I thought that was a permanent thing. So my thing is like the both of us have been like literally we cry separately and then we talk about it later on, because like me and her are talking, we're trying to work on it and stuff. But like we both think that like she thought I just gave up. I really just gave up on life. I didn't, because I'm like I thought you didn't want to be my friend like that. I'm like, you're my best friend. Like, I never imagined you not being my friend or whatever. And I'm like, I know, but I also know at the same time, my own mental is causing problems in our friendship. I'm projecting too much shit into it. And I'm like, I feel like that's just gonna, in a way, bring her down. Like my negative vibrations is gonna bring her down. And it's like, I saw this thing on Instagram where it's like, you either grow with me or, you stay stagnant. I'm not staying still for anyone. I'm like, I feel like that's the point where I'm at. Like, even with you, like, even with what we're doing, I'm like, I need to get this together. Like, I can't continue. Like, I get it. I've had the trauma. I've had, the experiences and then the negative self-talk. But I need to be able to function as a person and as a friend, like, all that shit. Like, I need to be able to do it. Not, like, perfectly, but just to be able to do it and not just completely just like give up and stop, living or whatever. Because like the other friend breakup I had, I pretty much like what you did, just stopped talking to her, slowly like drifted away. And I feel like I should have been like, you're really racist, you're really homophobic, and I don't feel comfortable. Because that was the facts. No, that was the facts with her.
The way you just said it was like,
no. That's what it was. Because like she would say the N-word, be on the phone, and I'm like, listen, I told you I don't like, I hate that. Don't say that shit. And she'd say whatever, say the N-word again. Hung up the phone on her. She'll call me back laughing about it. Like, why'd you hang up the phone? I'm like, I told you, that's just like, it's disrespectful to me. Like, that I don't like, it makes me angry when I hear people say that. Like, I don't care if you're not talking about me. Like, that's fucking rude. And she kept thinking it was funny. I'm like, it's not funny. And she would like claim that she wasn't racist. I'm like, no, you are racist. You're saying racist shit. Like, to her, I'm technically not an American to her. She said Lil Wayne was hot for a black guy. I'm like, what does that even mean though? Like, especially that it's Lil Wayne.
Yeah, in my head, I'm like, out of all the black people in America,
that's the other thing. But that's the other thing. But I'm like, what does that mean? What? And I'm like, that's because you have it as a standard. Just because he's not European, but I know. But that's what she used to say. She used to say, so and so is hot for a black guy, or Asians actually weren't attractive at all. Like a lot of people, like where I'm from, like I told you, until I moved down here, most people told me that they didn't find Asians attractive. And I'm like, it always made me uncomfortable too, because it was other people being like, say what you think about her. And I'm like, why would you do that right in front of me? How fucked up are you? Like people would do that all the time. When I was in high school and shit, they'd be like, no offense, but I'm not into Asians. And I'm like,
I'm not into you,
I'm
bitch.
not even into dudes. Like, oh God. But anyway, back to the best friend thing. Yeah, I just kind of like fell back with her because I didn't know how to be like, I'm scared. I was really scared of her boyfriend because he was fucking psycho. I told you he beat the shit out of that guy who had a crush on her. He wasn't even talking to her. He just knew that he liked her and beat the shit out of him. I'm like, he found out that I'm gay and I'm sleeping in the same bed as her, he would think that I'm trying to. I'm like, I've never ever felt that way towards her at all or anything like that.
You know what I hate? I hate when people point out someone's gay and then they're like, "Oh my God, you've been attracted to me this whole time, haven't you?" And it's like, no, bitch, I haven't.
Yeah.
Not even my
But,
type,
like,
but okay.
Me and her hung out a
Losses.
lot too, though. Me and her, like, she was my only friend for years. Like, that was the only person that was really like, and I'm like, was it a friendship? Because I really, a lot
No,
of
that was a codependency thing.
okay, because I'm like,
you just needed
I was
someone
like,
to hang out with.
like, because I didn't truly ever feel comfortable because of some of the shit that she would say, and I'm like, and that's what makes me. That's why I'm like, okay, it's like I feel like it's hard to have friendships now, just because of the bad experiences in the past, like. You know, both as a child and as an adult, just the experiences that I've had and combined with the negative self-talk. Yeah. That's why I just pretty much keep to myself. And that's the thing that I was telling you about earlier when I was reading about the emotional schemas or whatever. And it was like self-isolation. I was like, yeah. Because it feels safer. It's protecting me from the potential harm that someone else could cause. But I don't necessarily know that that person's going to do anything. It's just, I have had certain experiences where friends like talked about me where they didn't talk or they didn't like really treat me with respect or whatever different reasons. And I'm like, okay, it took me a very long time to realize not everyone's your friend. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, okay. And like, it sucked at first, I'm not gonna lie, because that was the period where I started drinking a whole lot when I realized all that. And I'm like, this is the wrong way to do it. That's why I quit drinking. But like, that was like probably as an adult one of like the hardest things I had to learn, I think. Like, yeah, because like I even had to, at that time I had to learn to be a good friend, because like my best friend, I tried to put distance between us without even telling her that I needed space just because of what was being said. I just pretty much like,
you took matters in your own hands.
Yeah, and just went and, you know, kept to myself. And I was like, you know, just hanging out with, I started hanging out with a different friend. So it was like to her, I was replacing.
You started hanging out with me.
Yeah, I started hanging out with you, but then I was hanging out with that other girl. And we were only hanging out as friends, which was weird too, because she always would like bring up like, I'm not interested in you, blah, 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 like that. And I'm like, but I never flirted with you. I never did anything to give you that inclination. It was just other people thought me and her were dating, so she would say that. And I'm like, I don't think that. When have I ever flirted with you? When have I ever given you that idea?
I've never thought you liked me. I just want to put that out there. Like, I would never think that anyone.
A lot of people thought that y'all was fucking.
I don't get that.
It's because I spend a lot of time with certain people. That because for me to feel safety and security, it's really hard, and I only feel that with certain people.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%.
Well, somebody thought that you and I were fucking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they told Justin, we're like, you
comfortable with
them hanging out? And she's like,
that shit was hilarious.
Why? Like, why do I have anything to, like...
Bro, when we had to pretend to be flirting or whatever, I couldn't even look you in the eyes. I was like, this is too funny to me. This is weird.
And I literally had to just film Diana's face, and Nasty had to close her eyes.
Yes, Nasty had to close her eyes, and then when I did it, I had to close my eyes, and you filmed me from the side.
You were trying to make me be sexy to her, like I couldn't find it.
It's
looking
weird.
At her.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
both of you.
It's so weird.
Either way. Oh, hey.
All right, friend breakup, Nasty. I know you've had.
I've only had one.
That main one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just that one, and I mean, I did the same thing. Like, I just stopped talking to her because I felt like we had a conversation because we both felt like we were, you know, getting distant. So we had a conversation. And in that conversation, she's pretty much just telling me everything that I'm supposed to be, and everything that Jessica is supposed to be, and things that, you know, we can and can't say, and how we can and cannot, like the way that we speak. Like, she felt like we shouldn't be speaking that way. And like things like that, and I was very confused because I thought that I was there to talk about our friendship. I didn't think that we were there to talk about, you know, my background and her background, and, you know, the things that, we were into and like things like that. So I was just very confused. And I went home and I told Jessica everything that happened, and she's like, she was hurt about it, and I was like, I'm confused because we were supposed to talk about our friendship and we didn't, and now like I'm even more like thrown off by her. So she ended up being there at my engagement. She wasn't there when we got married, and like she had hit me up and she wanted me to do makeup for her, and I was like, that's cool, because she was my friend. I never charged her. But she also like she shouted everybody else out, and she didn't shout me out. And I'm like, okay, like I ain't really tripping, like it's fine, like I don't really do this for clout anyways. But I just felt like it was weird, of all people that she should have shouted out, it should have been me because I was her friend. And then she hit me up talking about we need to do a reshoot, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna make sure that I'm off this day. And then she hits me up, she's like, I don't need you because the model wants to do her own makeup. And I'm like, okay. Shouted her out as her own makeup artist. And I'm just like, all right, well, this is just weird. Like, you don't value me as a friend or even like someone that you want to work with. So like I'm just not gonna say nothing. Mm-hmm. Like I'm just gonna fall back and let you do what Face you want to do. That's exactly what I did. And I haven't spoken to her for 2011? What's this year?
2021.
Not 2011, because I moved down here in
2014. It wasn't in 2011.
I was gonna say I had met her as your friend.
Yes.
When
I don't know. This was
2017.
When did I get engaged? 2018.
Oh,
yes.
So it's been since then that I haven't spoken to her. And like every once in a while I think about her and I'm like, I hope that she's doing okay and she's thriving. But sometimes I do miss her friendship. But when I think about how the dynamic of our friendship was, it was always about her. And I felt like we were on a one-way street, and I didn't like that. Like as a friend, like I also have needs as your friend, and I know that you do too, but it was always, if it wasn't her way or about her, then it was a problem.
Bitch.
So
do you guys think that you have, because like, you've had experience both ways with a friend breakup, do you think you have to have a conversation with a person to end a friendship, or is it okay for you just to go back?
I feel like for me, we both knew that friendship was over. So there was no talking about like, this is it.
I think it varies per friendship. I think everything has a different style to it. Like every friendship is different. And like, I mean, you remember like what? 2 summers ago, I was hanging out with that one person all the time. We were always together, and I thought it was a good friendship. Like, I really thought we were good friends. But then I think she needed to take care of some stuff, and then I need to, and then we just never talked again. And then I ended up noticing that she unfollowed my Instagram and all this stuff, and I was just like, okay, because I honestly valued her as a really good friend. Like I helped her in a lot of situations. I think she helped me in a lot of situations, and I just felt like, I don't know why that friendship just ended, but I also was feeling weird about that friendship a little bit prior to it. So I just feel like the universe takes care of certain things for you anyway. People not to be in your lives, but I honestly believe everything's different. Like, in all reality, I think you should always communicate how you feel to a person so that they can
have that opportunity.
To either fix it, or B, they at least know what's wrong. So if this conversation comes up again in another friendship, they can be like, okay, this is a pattern. Like, what can I do to fix my actions, or what can I do to like be a better person? Like, because like a lot of times, like, in my friendships that I have, I'm very open and communicative now. If I have an issue, I'm going to say it. Like because at the age I'm at now, the people I want in my life, I want them to be there forever. And I don't want to keep building relationships that aren't going to go anywhere. Yeah. Because, I mean, to me, friendship is the most important relationship there is in our experience of life. Like, your friends are there for you no matter what. And in all reality, your friends are free therapy. But the one thing that the things that your friends also can't really help you in every situation.
That's
like,
what we were literally just talking about this yesterday.
we were, and it's like, at some point, you do have to either go find someone else to talk to, because in all reality, you don't know what your friends are going through, and you don't want to dump things on them if they can't emotionally handle it. So like, that's why you need a therapist and everything. But other thing I want to bring up to you guys is, do you think, I mean, I believe yes, but like, do you think there are some things that you just don't share with your friends? Like, you're like, listen, this is for me, I need to deal with this myself, and like, I don't want to talk to you about it.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
feel like
okay.
that. I feel like that's with everybody. With
Yeah,
every
but,
relationship
like, you
that
don't-
you have, there's things
Yeah.
that you keep to yourself, and then there's things that you share.
Yeah. Would you be mad at your friend if they didn't want to share something with you?
No, because that's your business. That's your comfortability. Like, you not sharing something is a boundary. Like, you don't have to be an open cup to pour into everyone. Like, you have to save some for you. Like, that's part of the thing that a couple years ago that I had to learn. Like, I was like, do I really have to tell everyone what's happening in my life? Like, no. Like, sometimes we go through shit. You can be like, hey, I'm going through shit. And hopefully that's enough. Like, they care about you enough to be like, okay, she's going through some shit. Like, you know, whatever. Not take it personally. But it's hard for people to not take it personally when you have whatever reasons. Like, it's other issues in you, though. That should be, like, if you have an issue with a person not sharing something, I think, like, you have to look at, like, what is it within you? You know what I mean? Like, it's not, a person's never obligated to tell anyone everything or anything, even. It's really, and that's the thing I feel like people, like, with friendships, like, have to learn, like, the balance of, like, actually being there for someone, being there to listen to someone when they want to talk, when they feel okay enough to talk, when they feel safe enough to talk. And then, you know, just being there. Like, people don't always want to talk. They just, you know, just to be there. Like, at least for me, like, it's really hard for me to articulate shit. It's really, really hard for me to be able to articulate, especially the way that I feel. Like, I remember a couple years ago when I had conversations, like, when I found out what had been said, I was like, Tay was the one to be like, you got to talk to people. You gotta, you know, explain how you feel so that they know. And when I had talked to one person, she kept flipping it around on me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm telling you, I have a problem with this because you're literally telling lies. And she's like, no, you blah, blah, blah. I'm like, so eventually I just gave up. And because we were at happy hour, I just gave up on it. And I was like, okay, I don't think it's a friendship I can sustain anymore. And that's why I walked away from the friendship. Because I'm like, you're literally blaming me for something that I'm telling you I have an issue with. And I'm like, how are you making this my fault? Like, you made a mistake. All you have to do is be like, I'm sorry, you're right. That's all I needed to hear.
I realize that's really hard for people to do. It's like they can't admit when they're wrong. Or it's like, if I have a problem with you, don't turn this and be like, well, I have this problem with you. It's like, bro, like, I'm coming to you because you asked me a question. Now that I'm telling you about it, you're mad that I'm telling you about it? Like, you brought this whole conversation up. You did this. You said those things. So now explain to me why you said those things.
Yeah, because she knew that something was up, too. Because she had said something was up, brought it up to Tay, and Tay was like, just talk to her. You need to talk today. That's all she said to her. And she's like, hey, she said that we need to. I was like, okay, let's have, because I didn't want to have that conversation. I felt really uncomfortable to have the conversation. Like, telling someone what was bothering me was alien to me. Like, to be honest about what is making me upset, like, that was weird to me. But I was like, I need to do this so I can be able to know if this is a true friendship or this is like one of those cases where not everyone's your friend. You know what I mean? Like, people can say they got your back, but they don't really got your back. Like, yeah. Sometimes people just like to talk shit.
And that's the, like, dealing with fake friends. Like, how do you go about that? Because it's really hard for me, to, like, realize they're a fake friend. Like, because I'm such a nice person. I see the good in everybody. It's hard for me to be like, oh, you're just, I mean, I'm good at reading people. Like, we all know, like, there's certain people I've been like, nope, that person's bad, and they have been a bad person. But, like, okay, the main thing is, like, really good friends and you find out they're talking shit about you. Like, well, how do you go about that?
My first inclination was just to put distance and just stop talking to everyone. And then Tay was like, no, you can't do that. Yeah. You need to talk to them.
My first inclination is to fight. We're fighting. You're supposed to be my friend and you're talking shit about me. Now you have to see me with the hands.
And like I always feel like I can tell.
And then after that, we're never gonna be friends.
See,
like,
that's the thing. I'm like, how could I not tell? I can read people. Why could I not tell this part? Why did I miss this? And that's also the part where I'm like, I felt like an idiot. I'm like, one, these people all think I'm probably an idiot because they think I'm in this situation. And then two, I really am an idiot because I thought that they were all actually my friends. And I'm like, no, not everyone is your friend. And that's okay. Not everyone is going to be your friend. And
not everybody wants to be your friend.
Yeah,
either.
they just want to be able to have
information access to you.
Information, access, and just to have like people around you. They might not even like you all that much, but at least they can like maybe, depending on the social dynamics of the circle, you could be the person that they just pick on or whatever. Like people are purposeful in who they choose to be around.
It also doesn't help that we live in an age where information is so readily available.
But there's so much wrong information out there. That's the thing.
That is also true.
Like,
we live in the social media age where everyone is literally just posting their
Exactly.
lives, and they think that they have access to them because you posted it.
Sometimes you just post it just because, oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Or this reminds me of a situation with my friend.
I thought it was funny. Mostly it's funny to me. I post things that make me laugh.
Yeah. But I mean, there have been some occasions where I post stuff and I'm like, I hope you read this because you need this information. This is for you to read. So fucking understand it and get in your fucking school. Because I'm tired of repeating shit to you.
I've known a lot of people to have been in like toxic relationships.
In general, or you?
No, like I mean, there are certain things I post like on my story, especially that I want my friends to read, and I'm like, I hope you read that. And I'm like, oh, they saw it, good. They fucking got the information in their fucking head because.
Why don't you just send it to them directly?
Because
she's passive aggressive.
Yes, I'm the most passive aggressive person there is, and it's just easier for me to just be like, here's the information, run with it. Please go and run with it because I'm tired of going through the same shit with you when you should just understand. And I mean, the main thing that I talked to my best friend Leah about this, and she was like, you need to set boundaries in your friendships too, Emily. Like, you don't understand, like, she was like, listen, like, I love you, but there are certain things that I don't know how you deal with it. And I'm like, I know. And she's like, no, like, you don't know because you're dealing with it. Like, put your foot down. But, like, I don't want to hurt people. Like, that's my main thing is that, like, I don't want to be that person to hurt you. But, like Leah, my friend, she was just like, no, Emily, it doesn't, you are important. Like, she was like, stress causes your body to fuck up now. Like, you literally can't move anymore when stress happens to you. And I'm like, you're right. She's like, don't be in stressful situations. Like, don't let if someone's stressing you out, say it immediately. Say, I can't do this right now. I don't want to talk, and cut the conversation. But I'm really sucky at that because I don't want people to think that, like, just I'm writing them off. But I need to work on that.
I actually do that with Jessica, and she'd be like, no, we're going to talk about this now. And I'd be like, no, I don't want to fucking talk about it. So, because she wants to continue to talk about it, I just sit there and just stare at her.
Yeah.
You don't have anything to say? No, because I told you I don't want to talk about this. So, I mean, I don't know what you want me to do.
I don't know. I feel like people should understand when you be like, okay, listen. Like, just because I don't want to talk, I make it a point to be like, I don't want to talk about this right now. Like, I'm really pissed off, and I feel like I'm just going to say shit just to say shit, like, talk out the side of my neck. And I'm like, that's not what I want to do. I want us to be able to actually resolve this shit. So, can we just talk about this later? Give me a little bit of time to cool down, and we'll talk about this later. She also knows
that I'm not going to want to go back to the conversation.
Well, that's the problem, though. Like, if you don't go back to shit that bothers you, it's always going to be in the background. Like, and it might not even obviously come up again, but it could just be in the back of your head, some shit you think about, and it'll just make you angry. And it's like, fuck. You get angry all over again, and then maybe you'll react or snap or say some shit, and then it starts a whole different fight. Like, that was the problem in my family. Like, my family growing up, like, this is probably why, like, me and my sister both talked about this, like, a couple months ago. Like, we both struggle with, like, articulating our emotions or, like, being proud of shit. Like, being able to, like, talk about ourselves in any type of way, whether it's positive or negative, like, it's very hard to do. And in my family, like, when I got to be a teenager, I was like, I noticed the pattern. Like, we would fight, like, with my sister or with my parents. Like, we would yell at each other, and then, 10 minutes later, talk like nothing just happened. And we would always do that over and over again. And I'd be like, okay, no, I'm like, I remember trying to tell my mom something that had bothered me. And she's like, no, that's in the past. You're bringing up the past. You know, you're being disrespectful, all this stuff. And I'm like, no, it's bothering me. Like, we need to talk about it. Like, we literally just keep burying this shit and then it blows up again. And yeah, so I think it goes down to like familial dynamics as well.
Yeah.
And it plays out, like, that's the thing I was reading about, the schemas. It all plays out the rest of your life in your adult relationships. And it's okay, like, you know, it's understandable. Once you figure out the source, you gotta be like, okay, what can I do to make myself feel better? And that's all you gotta stay focused on. What can I do to make myself feel better? It's not like you're saying fuck everyone else, but like, you're the only person you can make feel better. Like, that literally is the only thing you can control. So you gotta do what you gotta do.
Like, another question I want to ask you guys. When it comes to, like, your friends, obviously, whatever they tell you, you keep to yourself, right? It's all you. But I read this meme, and it was like, yeah, if you're going to tell someone something, you know they're going to tell their partner, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's always like, hey, babe, guess what Emily told me today? Because it's like, because your partner is supposed to be your best friend. Like, what's on them, everything. Do you agree that, like, say Diana came to me and was like, blah, blah, blah. And then I went and was like, hey, yo, the dude I'm with now, guess what Diana told me? He doesn't obviously know you, but I'm like, he doesn't know you, so he won't care. Do you think that's bad as a friend to do that?
I think it depends on what you tell them.
Exactly. It depends on what you tell them, and maybe also like like if it's like, you know, I don't know the person at all, then like, yeah, but if it's like someone maybe within the circle or something, like, maybe it should be something that should just be kept.
Yeah. No, I agree. I saw it on a podcast I was watching, and they were like talking about friendship, and then she was like, but, because they were talking about secrets, and it was like, but we all know when you're in a relationship, you tell your partner everything. You're like, hey, yo, guess what Nasty told me today? And it's just like, because that's the person you are in bed with every day.
No, it depends on how serious it is. So like, if you come to me and tell me that homeboy is like beating the fuck out of you, and like you're coming to me with confidence, I'm not gonna go tell Jessica that you're getting beat on. But if it gets to the point where like it's serious and I'm having to continuously?
Continuously? Is that the word?
Thank you.
Is that a word?
I don't fucking know. You know, y'all know I can't speak no English.
It is an adverb.
That it's constantly happening, and like now I'm worried about it, then I will talk to her to see what I should do.
For advice.
Exactly. But you also know Jessica big bitch will be like, babe,
go beat him
up.
Now, right. I would have called Jessica and be like, can you go beat this motherfucker up for me?
But it's like things like that.
Yeah.
Like that I won't tell her, but if it's like, I don't know, something that I don't think that is that serious, or it's something that you're like
Emily
don't
told
tell
me
it.
that he came all over her face.
Yeah, like I would tell her that.
You have said shit like that before too.
Me?
No, her.
Oops.
You want to see the pictures? I'm good.
I have showed you a picture though.
I know.
No, but if I am specifically told don't tell Jessica, I won't tell her.
Yeah.
Yeah. If someone doesn't want some other people to know something, then I'm like, okay, I'm keeping it to myself. Like, that's the thing that blows me. Like, whenever I don't know.
Okay.
But people know that I talk to Jessica about everything, so they know what to tell me. Because I'm gonna go tell her. But I'm not like running and I'm like, oh my babe. Let me tell you.
What if you have a friend who literally tells you everything about their other friends? How would you feel? Would you be like,
I wouldn't want to be friends with them. I'd be very suspicious. And I would probably keep my distance because you're probably talking shit about me when I'm not there. So
me and one of my good friends always talk about this. We're like, yo, this person always talks to us about their other friends. Like,
is it them just telling their business or them talking shit?
Them telling their business and talking shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm more wary of somebody talking shit about their friends than just telling their business.
No, I mean,
I find it to be disrespectful.
I'm gonna be like,
business.
Yo,
I don't think that's what a good friend
ask for this information about your friend, so like, okay. But I really cannot fuck with somebody who is in there talking shit about their friends, because
if it's someone I know, I'm gonna tell them. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, remember that situation that I told you about recently? This girl told me that this man came at her and then tried to pin the baby on the other person, and then I went and told that person, "Hey yo, this bitch just told me that this nigga came at her." And then she texted me like, "Why'd you tell him that?" Because that's some serious ass shit. Like, you should have been the one that told him, but I'm gonna take my liberties in my own hand. And I was just like, I don't care. I don't fuck.
Wow.
Well, no,
okay.
I mean, period. Like, if I hear a friend talking shit about another friend, I'm gonna tell that friend what's being said about them, because I'm like, I think it's disrespectful, especially if I'm like, because like there's been situations where I get quiet when people start talking shit, and everyone thought it had to do with them drinking, and I'm like, and so I was just blunt. I was like, no, you're talking about someone who's not here right now, and it's someone that I'm cool with, and I would feel weird if I engaged in this conversation because I would not be able to face them and feel good about myself. I would feel like shit. So I'm choosing not to engage in this conversation, and I think that we should end it.
That's why I hate that meme. That's like, if someone comes to you and says that person talks shit about you, why are they so comfortable talking to you about it? And it's like, I just came to you and told you they were talking shit about you. Don't be mad that they talked to me about it. I'm letting you know that person's talking shit about you. Don't be their fucking friend.
The fact that they're comfortable talking shit to me about you, that's not my business.
That's not my business.
Like, I may just be like
I didn't ask to hear this information.
Yeah. They just may feel comfortable talking to me, or they just, if it wasn't me, it would have been somebody else. I don't fucking know.
I feel like
here we are with this information. Do what you need to do with it.
No, because I honestly, like, I'll be completely honest. Like, I usually have one core best friend. Like, I have a lot of friends that I consider best friends. There's always one core. God, another sneeze is coming. Is it going to go away? Elephant, 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 elephant. And it's gone. And I would tell that friend stuff. And now I've now realized that's a horrible thing. Like, you should never tell, if someone comes to you, even if they're not my best friend, they're just a friend, and they're just confiding in me, then I'd be like, hey, yo, bitch, guess what, blah, 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 just said? And it's like, no, you should not do that. Like, you need to, and I've worked on that a lot myself. Just like, even if they're not my best friend, I still need to, if they're confiding in me, I need to take that seriously and like not go and tell someone else like, hey yo, like this bitch over here talking about
I've never been a fan of like just running my mouth about people. Like, I don't know, I felt like it's always been fake.
Yeah, I don't know, because I think it applies to like in every aspect. You just shouldn't talk about people. Like, I get it when you're upset. Like I'm thinking in a professional sense right now. Like, I had gotten upset with a manager once. I'm like, he's a fucking asshole. Fuck him. Blah blah blah. He did this, and I said it to my coworkers. And then afterwards, it's like, I shouldn't have said any of that. I was like, that's unprofessional. One, that makes
they probably felt the same way.
I know that, but for me, as to what I can do as a professional, as a person, I'm like, I should not have done that. Like, I felt bad afterwards. And so I went to the manager that I had an issue with, and I was like, listen, I'm sorry for the way that I acted earlier, but I need you to know this is what bothers, because there was a reason why I was saying this. Something was bothering me, but I shouldn't be going to other people and saying that shit. I have to go to the person that I have the issue with. And I was like, this is what I have the issue with. And we had an adult conversation. Like, he was like, you're wrong. I was like, no, I get that, but I just don't like the way that you spoke to me. And it was like, okay, blah, blah, blah. We both apologized to each other. And then I was like, I felt better about the situation. But I'm like, when you talk shit, there's a reason why you're talking shit also. And you gotta catch yourself if you're one of those people that talk shit about others. Like, even if you're just upset and you have a rightful reason to be upset, it doesn't still give you a right to talk shit. You know?
And like, that's what I think is like my problem, that when I'm mad at someone, I just automatically go to like venting to whoever I'm talking to time about like that person. And it's really hard for me to just confront people about their actions, because I don't like to do stuff over text messaging. I think text messaging is the worst way to ever confront / talk to someone about your problems. You should always do it face to face. I think even a phone call is horrible too. Like, it should always be face to face, just so that they can see your facial reactions, hear your voice, see that you're.
So how do you feel about FaceTiming in a conversation?
I think it's okay, but sometimes I think things get lost in translation. I would just prefer in person, so that we can really understand each other. I mean, I think FaceTime is a good way, especially in this pandemic. You can't just be around everybody all willy-nilly. But it's hard for me to just really express myself because I feel like my friends are going to be like, either just overreact to what I'm saying or just not hear me. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to not be heard.
That goes to the schemas that I was talking about. This is something to work on in therapy. Like, it has to do with something either in childhood, like early childhood, or your adolescence, and you develop it and it just replays itself in your adult relationships and friendships, like every type of the word, like every sense of the word. And I was like, and like that's a like, it has to do with you usually it's by your parents being invalidated, you know, your emotions, your feelings not being heard or being neglected, you know, or abandoned, like all of that shit. So it's like, you know, the reasons why we feel the way that we feel is there, but you shouldn't ever feel like it's easier said than done. Because I mean, I still feel bad. Like I told you, it's hard for me to even when it has nothing to do with anything negative, just to be like, hey, you want to hang out? Like that's hard for me to do. Like that's because in my head for such a long time, I drilled into it. You're alone. You have no friends. So now I got to undo that shit because my mind takes over when I'm having a good time. My nervous system's like, danger, you're not supposed to have a good time, and then brings me back down. And I'm like, the memes where it's like when you're out having a good time and it's like, what's his name from The Office? And he's like, no. I'm like, that's literally how I feel. And then I just start crying.
The memes with the guy in the corner with the party hat, like those going around, like the one that was like, everyone hates you here, no one wants you here, no one wants you here. I was like, I think I sent that to you. Like, that's you. And I'm
literally, like, I was convinced that a friend
said, they don't know that I farted. And I thought about you. And I don't know why.
Well, she's always farting. That makes sense.
I am. Lactose intolerance.
Right.
No, but like, I don't know. It's weird. Like I understand it. I can see the roots, but it's so frustrating because when I look back in hindsight, when I'm in a better mental state, I'm like, that doesn't even make any fucking sense. Like I told you, I thought I was convinced a friend only invited me to her birthday because I was friends with her and didn't actually want me there and found me weird and annoying. And I was like, I probably shouldn't go. And like, I really was about to be like, hey, I'm not going. Come get this kid.
I get invited to stuff just because I'm friends with you all the time. Like the whole pie crew, they only invite me because I'm with you. Like they're like, oh, like every time, like, oh yeah, just bring Emily because they know that we're always together for one. But I'm just like, I don't care. But we'll never forget the time that Diana invited. Well, I got invited through Diana to go to a party. She told me we went to the party. Everyone is dressed up. Dressed to the T, like nice dresses, men in suits and ties. I'm in fucking leggings and like a long sleeve t-shirt. And I'm just like
looking like
and my busted Vans at that as well. And I'm just like, mind you, I was also in a relapse, so I was fucking limping the whole time and just hated my fucking life. And I was just like, thanks, Diana. Thanks.
In typical Diana fashion.
Doesn't tell me all the information. I literally look like shit, and everyone, and my fucking ex-boyfriend was there who even looked nice, and he is sorry, let me not say that. That's rude. He's a very nice guy.
Yo.
How do you feel about your friends being friends with their ex? Because I know, I mean, obviously you're still friends with one of my ex-white friends, which I obviously don't care.
I don't know. It was hard. It was for me personally, like my college friends, because like I talked to my college best friend since then. You know, we've been talking again and shit, but because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to see each other. And she was like, I was really hurt because I thought you found a new group of friends and you were just like done with us or whatever. And see, the whole reason that started it was my sister had told me stuff that they had all said together, but didn't come to me to say. And that's
about your relationship.
Yeah, about my relationship. And I'm like, I wish you guys would have come to me. Even after we broke up, they were like, about the way that I was acting. I'm like, you're talking about my behavior, but you never once approached me about it. And like, yeah, I was like, I told you, I went on a Molly binge. I was a fucking mess. Like, yes. But you weren't my friend because you would have talked to me about it. If you actually genuinely gave a shit about me, you would have come to me about it. And that was the part that hurt me because my sister was telling me, the only reason she told me that was because she thought the way I was like drifting away and acting was wrong. And I'm like, well, this is what I feel is wrong about it. And I also drifted back because like I stopped going to the like alumni games for my own reason because I thought the guys team was massively racist and they just let them get away with it. And I'm like, no, that's not cool because I remember the one time the one kid, he was like, we can say the N-word now because we have Black Sam. I'm like, what the fuck is the matter with you? And they called him Black Sam. In the dining hall one day, they were like,
Black Emily.
Hey boy. And I'm like, and my friend was telling me if that shit was gonna be funny, he's like, wasn't that hilarious? I'm like, that's fucking racist. What is your problem?
And like all my college best friends, and they're still my best friends to this day, we talk about like, and I allowed it, but there were two Emilys in our group, and they called me Black Emily, called her White Emily, so like they still acknowledge her race, but like we all think back and we're like, why did we allow that to happen? And I was like, why did I allow it to happen? Mm-hmm. Like I should have never been called Black Emily.
I mean, there's things you just gotta learn. Yeah. You gotta learn like that, because I mean, there's shit like I feel like I used to be very closed-minded myself before I accepted myself and, you know, just realized I'm like, the only reason I'm thinking this shit is because other people have said this shit. If I think about how I really feel about something, I'm like, this isn't what I believe. And then that's just what led me to my own diverging stuff. Because I feel like I was headed the way of everyone in York County, which is like conservative, closed-minded asshole. And I was like, I don't believe in any of this shit. So,
none of it.
Like, I feel like I was not the racist part, but like just the, like I would say homophobic stuff because I didn't want people to know about me when I was like a little kid, when I was like 12. And this is where I could have been a better friend to someone because I had a friend who was like, I think she's a lesbian, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, she would talk shit about her. And I stayed her friend. I was like, eventually, like, I stayed to both of their friends, and I really should have just not stayed her friend. And eventually, I kind of just drifted away from everyone. But, like, that one person, she was the epitome of, like, I should not be friends with her. We did a tarot reading that said that our friendship was going to end. Like, literally, we kept reshuffling the cards. They all kept coming in. Friendship's going to end. No, like, different cards interpreting to this, going to the same message, that friendship is not going to last.
Me and my friend with the racist shit, we got matching tattoos together, and everyone was like, why'd you do that? And I'm like, she's my best friend. They're like, your friendship's going to end. And I was like, what? Like, your friendship is going to end literally 3 years later. No, yeah. 4 years later, friendship over. No,
but the thing is with her, there were multiple reasons why I should not have been her friend, but that's that codependency shit. Mm-hmm. When I was young even. Like, I just wanted, you know, to have people, I guess, because, you know, it also had to do, I think, like, where I grew up. Like, I was the weird kid. I was Korean, like, or I am Korean. I am the weird kid. Like, a lot, like, I remember this one time asking this girl to sign my yearbook. She gave me a dirty look, looked at my yearbook, looked at me, gave me a dirty look, didn't say anything, and walked away. Didn't even tell me no. I want to cry thinking about it. Like, people...
You should have hit her with the damn yearbook.
People, I told you, like, this is why I don't, like, for me to be the center of attention, like, doing the podcast or even, like, doing our show, like, I wanted to act for a really long time, but I didn't because I don't like being the center of attention because people were fucking pricks. Like, they would literally make jokes about me to my face, like, and say shit, and I'm like, and I just never said anything, and I wish I would just fight people. I wish I just would have fought people. I really do, but that isn't who I am. I don't fight people. I just sit there, and I'm like, I wish I could have at least said something. I wish I could have at least said something. Like,
I have so much aggression in me that I feel like fighting is the only thing that will help me.
That's why I seen you that TikTok.
I'm telling you, like,
about, like, how to deal with your best friend, and it's like, best friend, what do you want to do right now? I want to fight. No, what else do you want? No, I want to fight. I'm like, that's literally next.
Because sometimes I feel like talking to people just isn't enough. And, like, they're not going to understand until you walk their ass like a motherfucking dog.
I don't know. This is why they are all still in York County. And
look at you thriving. That's all that matters. I mean,
I'm thriving because No, you moved away, and you're doing a lot better because we can only imagine what your mental health would be if you were still there.
No bullshit.
Oh God, I thought I got a bloody nose again. I've had so many bloody noses this week. I was like,
and
me, I'm thriving because I haven't put my hands on anybody in years.
It's crazy because I'm like, for how my sister is and for how my mom is, and then there's how I am. I'm like,
on my back.
why don't I ever try to fight anybody? But like I told you,
You're
my
a
mom
lover,
fought
not a
people.
fighter.
My sister, no one talked, because I asked my sister, I was like, did you ever experience like racism when we were kids? Because like when I try to talk about it, she always shuts down, and I like, this is something I feel like we still need to talk about. Like, I'm like, I didn't understand why. Like, I thought maybe she had experienced it, and that's why she shuts down. And I'm like, you know, because it was shit that bothered me, and I'm like, well, I think she's racist. Well, those are my friends, blah blah blah. I'm like, I understand that, but like, you have to know, like, this shit is, you know, there's something wrong with this. Or even like we were talking about an actress, like an actress that she likes, and she got really upset when I was like, she's racist, like she's ignorant with the shit that she says, blah blah blah, and she got really upset at me, and I was like, oops. And I was like, I always have this shit on Do Not Disturb too. But anyway, yeah, my sister was like, everyone knew not to fuck with me, because my sister like had a temper and would like, she put someone in a headlock and just like pulled him. It was a boy too, like pulled him and was like, I forgot what she said, but like people knew not to fuck with her. So
she scared people into not being racist towards her.
I guess, but she also passes a lot better. Like, a lot of people think she's Mexican, Italian, or Native American. Like,
yeah, Lizzie
indigenous.
has a very American face.
She takes after my grandma in
She
her
doesn't
face,
have
that's
the
why.
Korean eyes,
The
and
Mexican
that's like
face.
the main thing.
She does when she smiles. Like me, if you look at it from like here, because she has like my dad's nose, and my nose is more like my mom's. If you take it from like here across, like, and when we smile, we all it's literally the same, like our cheekbones. Like, her face is more round because I got like the oval face, but we both got our mom's cheekbones or whatever. So I don't know.
Friendship.
I literally.
No, but to answer your question, do I think that your friends would not be friends with your exes? And I don't think that your friends should be friends with your exes. I feel like when I break up with somebody, my friends also need to break up with them. And the fact that
I think
you
it
are still
depends.
no, there is no depends. You are my friend. That is the person that I was in a relationship with.
But what
When
if
I
like,
break up with them, you
What if you were
as
friends
my
with the
friend-
person that they broke up with first, and then just grew closer to the other person?
What?
Let's say you're friends with a couple. You were friends with the boyfriend first, but grew better friends with the girlfriend. Should you stop being friends with the boyfriend?
Wait, I am the friend in this.
Yes.
They are friends together. They should both break up with me.
so you would lose two people because they broke up?
Exactly, that's how I feel.
Okay,
Yes.
no.
you're crazy.
No.
That's how I feel.
That I do not agree with you on, because I'm
if-
totally
if
cool with that she's friends with my ex-boyfriend.
If
I'm
me
totally
and
fine
Jessica,
with
if me
it.
and Jessica ever break up, y'all are breaking up with her too.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm
Then
sorry.
I'm not talking to neither one
That's
of y'all.
crazy.
Yes.
In all reality,
because in
wait,
my-
wait. In
because
all
in my-
reality,
But that's
I
only because
knew
you don't
Jess
think you
first
should
than
be.
you.
That's because you don't.
Okay,
think,
then you can be friends with her.
That's crazy.
I know it is, because in my mind, if we break up, you are no longer going to be in my future, and I don't need anyone
that's what I'm saying.
in my life reminding me of my past.
But
So
but
if
it's
you wanna-
inevitable. I think it's inevitable.
No,
And
it's not.
What if you're friends with someone for 10 years? They're gonna remind you of yourself from 10 years ago, though.
No, they're not,
Why not?
You can't bring up old memories.
because we are continually growing. It
But
doesn't fucking
I still
matter.
talk about stuff
I-
from college with my college best friends. That's something that happened in college, but it's a funny thing.
You were a certain way back then.
Okay, but that's different.
No, it's,
That's different.
and I'm not trying to change your
That's
mind.
different.
but-
I don't want to be. If my friends are friends with my exes, I more than likely am not going to be friends with them.
I mean, if you're allowed to feel how you want to feel, but
It sounds crazy. I know. I also don't feel like you can be friends with your exes.
That's
Yeah,
the whole
which-
reason why I went into that tangent about like friends talking shit.
I
I was
know.
like, why did I bring
know.
that up? Yeah, because
Did
my
I spark
no,
something?
no, because
No.
my college best friend, like, or not my college best friends, like it was mainly my roommate who I had gone to college with, lived with in Pennsylvania before I moved down here. She stayed friends with her and lived with her after we broke up or whatever.
The white girl?
And yeah, and like
I forgot her name.
we like stopped. I stopped talking with like her, with like everyone. Like I kind of.
Huh? I know, but I don't care for her name. I just know that she's a white girl.
Like I would send them memes and shit, but like we hadn't actually talked or hung out or anything like that. And that whole thing goes back to, it wasn't that they were friends with her, although that was part of it, because I just didn't feel like I could be around my ex after having lived with her for 7 months, 8 months after we broke up or whatever. I was like, I don't think I can be around her anymore, because like I told you, I'm a good friend. I will do whatever for my friends. And because I thought my ex was my friend, even though we were broken up, like I helped her pay rent a couple times after we broke up and never asked for the money back. Yeah. And I'm like, but that's just how I am. Like, if you need help, I will help you. Like, I've done that for multiple friends throughout my life. And I'm like, I don't want anything, but I just want to make sure you're good. That's the reason why I did it. But I realized by the end of the 8 months of living with her, she didn't actually want to be my friend. I realized like the both of us bring out kind of the worser parts in each other. And because my roommate,
there's good parts in her.
I don't think that she was truly a narcissist, but she. Okay, maybe you guys think that she was.
No. I'm agreeing with you. I'm telling Nasty to.
Yeah, I think she has had her like toxic habits. Like she doesn't. Like,
I saw your face and you want to be like, bitch, shut up. That bitch is stupid. Crazy,
she didn't like to. She didn't. But this has to do with like, it's human to, you know, when you have shit that you do wrong pointed out to you, you're naturally going to be defensive. But like, you need to realize, you know, you have, like, I had to realize, I remember I told you guys the first time like when a good friend of mine was like, this is starting to feel toxic, I think we should take some space. And I was like, my inclination was to be like, no, this isn't toxic, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, how can I tell someone else their experience of me or their experience of this friendship? I can't tell you that. So if you're telling me that, okay, I hear you, what can we do then? Like, let's work on this. But like the whole reason with my ex, I was like, we're not working on it. All she wanted to do was make me upset. So that's why she said and did what she would do, and it would just cause. And I played into it every time because I was a very reactive person back then. I would react to everything, and that was the whole reason why. That was another reason why I left left that particular friend group, just because I had found out what had been said in regards with me and my ex, and then the way that I acted afterwards. And like I could understand the concern, but my whole issue is, no one ever told me any of that shit except for my college best friend. She told me a little bit too, and that's why I'm like, I know she didn't mean anything by it, but I'm like, everyone else, I wasn't always close to them. And I told you what they said about my college best friend when they were like fucking assholes to her. So I'm like, I know you guys talk shit, and that's a habit of you guys, and I'm like, I don't know if I necessarily want to be friends with people like that. So it's not part of it with the one friend specifically was, yes, because she was living with my ex, and I'm like, I can't be around that energy. Like, I just mentally literally could not take it anymore. And she didn't really, my issue was she didn't see my issue with it. Like, right before our lease was ending, I was like, I don't want to live here anymore. I can't take it mentally. And they were like, they both took each other's side and was like, we don't want to live with some random, I don't care, like, you need to be able to deal with this, blah, blah, blah.
See, that's me, that's a bad friend in all reality.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I was like, okay, I don't think I can do this. Like, I can't fuck with this. Like,
I mean, so I brought that up because, like, you know, my ex, I had a really good best friend who I had met, and then he became really good friends with my boyfriend.
That's what I thought you were going to bring up.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. And, like, now once we broke up, like, he is still like good best friends with him, and maybe in all reality I was meant to bring them together because I mean they do have a lot in common. They like to hang out, like, you know, and I'm perfectly okay with it, but my relationship with you is completely different now. Like, in all reality, like, I don't want to be around my ex-boyfriend. Like, I don't want to, but if I see him, hey, what's up, it's all good. But I'm not about to sit here and hang out with you in all reality and like have deep conversations. Like, no, like, and all, like, you're a really fucked up person, and yeah, you might have changed, but I don't care to know that version of you anymore, if that makes sense. Like, I don't care to know the new you. I'm perfectly fine with where we ended, where it's all good. Like, if I see you, what's up. And even with that old best friend, like, when I see you, it's all good. Like, I'm not gonna just be like, you're a horrible person, but it's like, you know, sometimes people are meant to be friends with other people, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
And you can outgrow people.
Yeah.
And like you know, I mean, you said it before. Like, people are lessons, and there's certain things that you need to learn. Everyone meets everyone for a reason. They help. Like, everyone is we are literally all. It's funny because we're looking into a mirror right now, but we're all mirrors holding up a mirror to the other person, if that makes sense. Like, in a conversation, like, conversations I have with people, I've realized so much stuff about myself, and just talking to them, I'm like, well, I think about it this way, and I'm like, why would I think about it that way, or something like that, or whatever. Like,
yeah, it's a lot.
That's what I was gonna say. There's a lot that goes into a friendship.
I mean, we're obviously talking about friendship again in life, and like, and in the podcast, but like, friends are supposed to be there for you no matter what. You're supposed to hold your secrets. They're supposed to be your wing woman or wing man whenever time comes. Like, they're supposed to like just be there for you. That's all it's supposed to be. And they're also supposed to just listen. Like, I hate when I have a confrontation with a friend and they like make it
get defensive and that goes to the toxic behaviors that we all have. Like, that's, you know, one, it's like gaslighting, and I forgot what the other lack accountability. A lot of people don't like to take accountability because it makes them feel bad. And I'm like, no, you need to like feel bad because that's what you learn from. That's how you can learn. Why do I feel bad about this? Because it's wrong, maybe, or because of some other reason. But like, that you have to work through everything, because every feeling happens for a reason. Like, even if like that emotion that you're feeling doesn't make sense, or that thought that you're thinking doesn't make sense, it's there for a reason, and you just need to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's a good stopping point.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. To this day, I don't have a whole lot of friends, but I'm cool with that because I got good quality friends. Quality over quantity.
100%. 100%. That is the tagline right there.
I do need to work on, though, like, feeling safe and secure, because I don't know. I'm a crazy bitch. I told you.
You
like,
are.
The whole thinking that my friend didn't actually want me to be there for her birthday, or like how, like, literally that same day I remember looking over at you and being like, you were literally just driving, and I was like, she hates me. She thinks I'm annoying. She thinks I'm using her. Like, why is she friends with me? Like, thinking all this shit, and I'm like, why does my brain, like, to my best friend, like, even like you, Danielle, like my best friend that I live with, like, I had a hard time even talking to her for a month. Like, I didn't talk to you barely for a month, or you. I had a hard time talking to her, even though I lived with her. She thought, you know, like, I thought she thought I was annoying or pissed, but she was really just anxious about the fact that we're in a fucking pandemic and not working right now. And I'm interpreting that because of where my mental state was. I'm like, she hates me, blah, 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 blah. Like, even with this shit, like, when I fucked up this morning, like, I was like, oh my God.
I mean, in all reality, I was a little pissed.
I know, you had every right.
You were right about that one.
No. But I got into the car and I could sense, I'm like, oh, she's not like, I thought you were like angry at me. And I was like, oh my God. And I just started fucking going in on myself, and I almost made myself, I started making myself cry. And I'm like, no, you're doing that thing again. You did fuck up. Because you should have worked on this sooner. We did talk about working on it sooner. So that's my wrong. That's my bad. Like, I like when you said, you know, I mean, we said, I'm like, no, you're right. I hear you. Like,
well, that's the thing. I'm trying to get better at, like, because I know how you are mentally, and I obviously want to tell you things, but I know that you might take it the wrong way. So I try to say it in a way that's like, Diana, like, I try to, like, I say it calmly to myself so that when I text it, you will hear that I'm being calm and I'm not upset at you. I'm just trying to reiterate, like,
no, and you're completely right and justified. Like, it completely makes sense. But I'm like, I need to not do what I do. Because, like, even with, like, watching the podcast, I get uncomfortable because I'm like, I can tell that I'm uncomfortable on the screen. Like, when I told you, like, I can't get excited. I can't show excitement. I can, but I don't let myself. So as an adult, because it's been so long since I, like, outwardly expressed excitement, I feel like I don't know how to do it. And that makes me really self-conscious, because I'm like, what's wrong with you? You're almost 32 years old. And I'm gonna cry.
I literally love that we do this. You have
a way to go before you're 32, okay?
We literally...
I got 6 months.
Yeah, what to say.
Yeah, 6 months is a long time.
It's really not. We were literally talking about this, like... Which one, I want to make one little side note. I love how we pick a topic and then we always go into something different, which is really amazing. I love it. So I love it here. 2, forgot my second point, but you're an amazing person. I just want you to know that. Like, we all make mistakes as human beings, but that's why you have friends here who are always going to support you no matter what.
I just wish I didn't go to the extremes that I do. It's
I wish you didn't either.
It's literally black or white thing, and I'm like, I need to stop. And I've been literally, like, I realized this like 3 years ago that I did that, and I've been trying to talk with different therapists since then. But like, I have like a paper of stuff that I want to talk to my therapist about. I'm like, my main thing is the schemas that I literally keep bringing out because I've been researching like a motherfucker.
I'm gonna do a tracker of how many times you say that word in this
in this
episode.
Go ahead. Like,
I just want to know. I wonder.
There's 18.
Make it into a drinking game, everybody.
Go ahead. There are 18 EMS, early maladaptive schemas, that we all embody in not each and every single one, but at some point it comes up, and that's why the patterns happen. And I just wish I just wasn't so fucking mean to myself, because I literally I cried all last weekend. I've cried pretty much all week because I made myself cry. I could tell that you were upset when we first got here, and my mind was like, she's mad at me, blah blah blah. I'm like, why the fuck would Nasty be mad at you? You didn't do anything. And like, that's why like I was quiet, and then it came out like the reasons why you were upset. I'm like, okay. Like, I could.
Okay, narcissist over there thinking everything about you.
That drives me crazy. Like, because like Danielle has said, like my roommate has said the same thing. She's like, not everything is about you. Like, you don't need to think that shit. I'm like, it makes me crazy that I think like that. And I'm like,
I mean, that's how one of my good friends, like, every time, like, if I, like, she thinks that I'm mad at her when I'm not mad at her. And I'm like, it's not you. You're not doing anything to me. Like, I need you to get out of that mindset that Emily doesn't be my friend anymore because of this. And I'm like, no, like, I just sometimes, like, I need to be by myself. Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to learn that, especially with therapy. Like, my therapist is always like, listen, because she knows how important my friends are to me, but she's like, your friends are your friends. Like, there are some things that you need to deal with by yourself. Like, you need, like, she's like, that's your problem, is that you always rely on other people, so you don't know how to deal with things by yourself. Like, and that's my codependency. Like, I just always needed someone there when she's like approval. No, you are the person that you need to start putting yourself in that position.
The schemas. Telling you.
Take a shot.
That goes, there's another one where it's like an inability, or you struggle to like deal with life situations or anything by yourself. You feel as though you need other people to help you through it, or you need to be able to do that for other people. And that's my thing. Like, I want to be the person to help people.
What's the opposite of that?
Well, I just said it. You either need people to help you, or you feel the need to help other people. And that's where my codependency is. Like, I have to make other people happy. And like, we've talked about this before, even with when we were talking about your like the Enneagram thing, when I was asking you about, like, you like to be a service to others, and if you feel like you're not doing it, to be like to help people or whatever, and if you feel like you're not doing enough, then you blame yourself for that, and you start to think negatively or talk negatively on yourself. I forgot where I was going with that.
Thoughts are up in there. Huh?
What were we just talking about?
About me, just needing.
Oh yeah.
I need to do things by myself.
It's either you do it for other people, or you can't do anything. It's like indecision. Mm-hmm.
I'm the most indecisive person there is, and that's something I'm
like
also working on too.
Yeah,
is trying to be a decisive person, but that's why I'm in therapy every Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. baby, 45-minute sessions.
You know, I was thinking about, like, with my first therapist, I used to be so annoyed because, like, I would say something like, he was the one I spoke to, the first therapist that I spoke to, and the most about, like, my issues with my dad, like, the emotional abuse, all this shit. And I would, like, cry, blah, blah, blah. And he would just sit here like this for, like, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, just silent, staring. And I'm like,
okay.
So sometimes I felt like I had to keep talking to him, and he barely said shit. And I'm like, I was so frustrated because it helped to talk about it, but the motherfucker offered me nothing. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I literally feel like I could just be talking to a wall or a cat, and I would be getting the same fucking results.
And that's what I mean. You have to go through different therapists. Like, people think you're gonna get one and be perfect. Like, no, I got lucky, and the second therapist I went to was perfect, and she's been my therapist since 2019, so it's been an amazing journey of us two. But like, I got very lucky, which I'm grateful for that I got lucky that I have a really good therapist who knows what she's actually talking about and how to fucking help me through all my shit. She gives me activities, she gives me homework, like, so apply this in your life, and then next week when we talk, I'm gonna see if you applied it in your life. And it's like, yeah, I really have to stop. And the main thing I've learned recently is there's 3 things I have to ask myself: why, what, and like how. Like, why did this happen? What caused for this to happen? And how can I move on from? Like, what can I do to like get myself better? Which is very fucking hard to do, because you really gotta like break everything down. Then you realize this is stupid. Why am I upset over this? Like, I'm upset over this for no fucking reason. Yeah. But that's why it's amazing. I love therapy.
Yeah, I've been looking at my DBT skill book, my old DBT shit, and there was the one about like I forgot what it's called. It might be emotional regulation, when like you feel like a super strong emotion, how to stop feeling it, like bring yourself back down. It's like splash your face with water,
ground yourself, bring yourself back to reality.
I'm like, yo, that's my biggest issue, and I'm like, because I don't fucking know. I feel like we're diverging at this point.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, watching. If you are listening, go to our YouTube, Adolescent Productions, Schemas, and see our beautiful, beautiful face. Take another shot. But as always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys for listening to us. Bye.
Bye. I don't know why I put it in your face instead of my face, because I'm looking at the camera and I'm like, it's right here.
That my best friend, she a real bad bitch, got her own money.